Morning YouTube. Today it is Tuesday the 6th of June and I'm on my way after a very frustrating day to find somewhere to tramp for the night. I'm heading through some lovely countryside in Norfolk. I'm actually going to be going past Big Beardsley territory on the way to my tramping place. So just out of interest, that's the country I'm in. So let me tell you about today. It's been a pretty frustrating day, not very lucrative, and I suppose the lesson that I've learned today is a small lesson about persistence, but to be fair, that's scraping the barrel somewhat because it's not been a good day. If you want to hear more, stay tuned. Right. First thing I want to tell you about is last night I changed my app settings on my phone so that I would get a sound whenever an alert came through. And the reason I did that last night specifically was that I wanted to have an alert effectively waking me up if I was half asleep in bed and there was an early job in my home area. Because I do feel I kind of miss out on early jobs because I'm not looking at my phone early. As it was, I was awake at 7 o'clock this morning looking at my phone and nothing was pinging. And today was very quiet, but I've got now a sound alert for notifications. I didn't have a job for this morning, and so I was trying to find something from 7 o'clock onwards. There was very little at all coming up, never mind anything that was I could bid on. So I bid on a few things, but there's very little action this morning. So in the end I did get a job. It was a job that I got, it was posted about 9:55, so I got it about 10 o'clock. And it was going from Peterborough to Thetford, and it was an immediate pickup. The time of the pickup was 10:30, and I was 35 minutes away from it, 20 miles away. So the actual mileage of the loaded miles for this job for a long wheelbase van was 70 miles, and so I bid £85 and got it at that price. I had to travel 20 miles to get there, and I got there in time at exactly 10:30. There was a bit of faff getting loaded up, only in that it was 10 delicate bits of hardboard that had to be handballed on with me and the forklift driver. And it was quite delicate, so I had to be careful with it. So I put some blankets down on the floor of my van, and we put them on 2 at a time because there were 6mm sheets, we didn't want them to break. I've been to this pickup place before. It's a manufacturer, and I was heading off to the Centre Parks near Thetford. Now my map was saying 70 miles going sort of via Cambridge, but I also had an alternative route going via Downham Market, and that alternative route was 15 minutes longer in time, but it was 15 miles less in distance. So for me it's a no-brainer. I went the 15 minutes longer in time but shorter mileage. So I kind of made up for the dead miles getting to the pickup by saving miles on the journey from Peterborough to Thetford. So I did that journey, got to the pickup drop-off place. I had to wait for a bit because there's a bit of a confusion about whether it should be one or two of us dropping off. The guy at the end thought there was 2 of us and he wasn't there to help, so he had to come and help me, which he did do. So we got them off, but it was a bit of a delay. So by the time I'd finished, it was around about 12 o'clock-ish, that sort of time, maybe 12:15, and I got off site. So it's not a bad start today, but as always, it's what happens next is important. So I sat on the junction from Centre Parks over the A11 and was looking for jobs. And I was looking and bidding on. Everything came up as what I bid on, but I got nothing. And I was bidding at first, about £1 a mile for everything. It's again what I thought was a fair price for the work. Wasn't getting it, and I thought, but there wasn't many jobs. It was quite a quiet place. So by 2:30, so 2.5 hours later, or roughly, or maybe 2.25 hours later, I thought I'm going to do something different here. So I took myself off to Bury St Edmunds, which was 10 miles south, and I went to the Tesco's and used the toilet there, and then I sat in Tesco's car park bidding on whatever work came up from there. Again, very quiet, and it was exacerbated by, for around about an hour, either my app, the app went down, or I had no signal, but the website went down as well. So I think for about an hour the CX system just was not working for anybody. I did have, it might have been my signal, but the reason why I think about the CX system is I went onto the website with my Chromebook, and there was a great job from Bury St Edmunds going somewhere like, I don't know, Wolverhampton, say, I don't know exactly, but it was getting me a long way from where I was, and I couldn't press on the quote now button. It just wouldn't do anything on the website, and none of the quote now buttons would do anything. So I think the website crashed, and I found that not only was it very quiet, not only was my bids not being accepted, but the website crashing was very frustrating. It was very quiet and very frustrating. So I ended up, by about 4 o'clock, I hadn't got a bid. 4:30, I hadn't got a bid. I was sitting by this point in an industrial estate, about 10 minutes down the road from where I was before, and I was thinking, what do I do now? I've had one job today. It's 70 miles to go home. My options are I can just drive home, get home, at a reasonable hour, sleep in my bed, have a nice meal, have a cuddle, or stay where I am, tramp in my van, and get a job for the morning. And neither options really appealed to me. I didn't want the expense of just doing one job. It would have been a horrendous financial decision to go home. But equally, tramping out and on the off chance of getting a job and not looking likely also seemed very unappealing. But my rational mind came to this: there was only one decision I could make. The only decision I could make in this situation is to stay where I was and persist and try and find a job. Any job. Almost anywhere, going anywhere, within reason. So I stayed and I persisted, and I tried to find another job. And in the end, I was successful in getting another job. And I'm now travelling to that point. That job was 60 miles away from where I was in Bury St Edmunds. It was in Holt. So pick up from Holt tomorrow morning, going to Birmingham. It's for a short wheelbase van, and the loaded miles on the CX system is 148 miles. So I bid £160 and I got that job. And I know that I'm spending £8 in fuel just to get from Bury St Edmunds to Holt. So it's not a perfect situation, but it's better than it could have been. And I think it's a lesson in, if you're in a situation where like I was today, it's probably on the back. Usually, for me at least, it's better to stay where I am and keep trying to find a job. I do believe that's the right thing to do for me, bearing in mind the priorities that I have, and where I am in the country and what I'm trying to achieve. It might not be what you would have done in that situation. And there is no right or wrong answer, really. I could have stayed there, not got a job, and tramped where I was, and not got a job in the morning. Who knows? I would have increased my chances of getting a job in the morning where I was if I'd stayed there. But if I'd made a decision to go home, I definitely wouldn't have got a job. I just would have had a more comfortable night. So I feel vindicated. I don't feel particularly happy about today. I feel it's been a quite frustrating day. But I suppose it's one of those, this job, for those people who don't do this job, it's a good example of where the day doesn't go very well, you know, where there are frustrations, and how are you going to deal with those as a new courier. I want to finish off on a couple of things. One's an observation, and I saw this job on the CX system while I was bidding, and bearing in mind I've had quite a tough day, it made me frustrated enough to publicly shame this shipper. I'm not going to name them, so I'm not literally going to shame the actual shipper, but I'm going to shame any shippers that do this sort of thing. And it's not the worst thing I've seen on CX, but it's something I want to just say, I don't like this. It's not right. And all it is it's a job that came up. It was a job that was called a hotshot. It was a long wheelbase job going from Braintree to Rugby, and it's in the region of about 140 miles. I don't know for sure, but I have worked out the per mile rate. And the shipper put a note on. It had a set time, so it was for today. It was pick up between 4:30 and 5:30 today to travel to be delivered to Rugby as soon as possible. So not in the morning, so tonight. And what they put on there was they were going to pay £70 for that. So I worked out what would be the per mile rate to go from Braintree to Rugby, and it was 59 pence per mile loaded for a long wheelbase job in the evening. Hot shot. Now, if you're a shipper and you're getting that, I think you should feel that you're abusing your position. Drivers cannot earn a living off that rate. And if shippers are making money by charging that sort of rate, in my mind, they're not the sort of people I want to work with. They're not the sort of people that share my values. I suppose that's what I want to say. I mean, if you as a driver pick it up, I'm not criticising you, but in any reason at all. If you've got to do it because you've got to get home, or you've got other reasons to do it for, you know, fair play. I'm not criticising the driver in this case. I'm saying that the shipper is taking the piss, in my view. Now, I've given enough information there that the shipper probably will know who they are, but I'm not going to name them. That's not the point of this. The point is to share my frustration as a driver with other people watching this video, which I assume actually, maybe that's what I should say that. I'm assuming that you're drivers. I'm assuming if you're watching this that you're drivers doing this, or potential drivers. I'm not assuming that shippers are watching this. So I'm supposed to be clear, there are great shippers that I do work with, and so it's not about having great shippers generally. It's just this one particular job from this one particular shipper, this one particular day. Okay, so that's my kind of the closest I'm going to get to as a rant in these videos. My final tip is, I'll end on a tip. Those of you who are new to the system, you will, when you get on the system, be able to do future journeys where you can record on the app where you're going to in the future or where you're going to now. And I won't go through how to do that because you will either do it or not. But one thing that I was confused about was, why is it when I do a trip going from, say, Glasgow to Birmingham, why is it giving me jobs going from, let's say, Carlisle to Aberdeen? You know, I'm going the opposite direction. And I worked out about a month ago, and what it was is I had ticked the Go Anywhere option on the journey. So if you go into My Journeys and go to the Edit button, right at the top it's got a box that says Go Anywhere. If you only want to get trips that are along your route, not just starting from where you're going. So for example, if you want to get a trip, if you go from Glasgow to Birmingham, you want to get a job that's going somewhere south between Glasgow and Birmingham, then untick the Go Anywhere box at the top of the journey plan. If you are using the app, you may not know that. It's not a big tip, But something I worked out through trial and error, so I just want to share that with you guys if you don't know that. Right, thank you very much for listening to my video. What have you learnt today?